Spartan Nation. This is Q the Woodshed. Ken, the super cool Spartan, right back at you with my co-host, Brian, the super mad Spartan, who was quite heated last night. Woo! Boy, his blood pressure was on 200.
It's all love for the green and white. All love for the green and white.
And then we got Quaffo, the super connected Spartan, back in the building. Q the Woodshed, powered by Zilla Sports Network.
Yes,
and
sir.
I have to say, Quaffo really showed off his connectedness last night, showing us a picture of him in the suite at Spartan Stadium watching the game. That's why he's the super connected Spartan.
Every now and again, gentlemen, every now and again. That's not an every week occurrence, but every now and again we in there, like they like to say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. So we got a super packed podcast for y'all. Got the first game in the books, FAU. It wasn't pretty, but hey, we got the W. So let's get our initial thoughts of the game. I'll start with you, Mr. Super Connected Spartan. What are your initial thoughts of game one?
Well, pre-show we were talking good or bad. Which direction should we go, guys? Should we go bad, good? It depends on how you like your news served. Do we want to go good or bad? I can go either way.
Let's go bad first. Let's get all the negativity out, and then we'll bring in the positive vibes.
Super man smart. Okay, I will start with a few areas of improvement, and then we'll just let Brian go ripping and running because he is chomping at the bit since last night when we were texting each other. But yeah, if we'll start a little bit negative to start. I would say the offense underperformed. They were underwhelming. A lot of misplays on the field, right? I mean, you start the game with a kind of fluky interception. In Giles, I think the thing we all have to remember, right? The kid turns 19 next week. He was 2 years removed from just doing this at high school level. Last year, he didn't see the field very much, so he's very much trying to take the mantle and trying to probably do too much. I'm sure the coaches are talking to him about that as we speak right now. We're taping here on a Saturday. They're taking a little bit of time to go over film and stuff like that. So he'll figure that out. So offensively, we didn't involve our tight end Jack Veiling, who has All-American capability. He didn't get really involved. Nate Carter never really got going the way you would like to see because I think some of that has to do with the offensive line, the blocking scheme. And then I was just say, some of the gambling that has come into college football, like the NFL, a la Dan Campbell. Some of that might have been a little too much, which Coach Schmidt's addressed in the post-game press conference. But all in all, as we said, a W is a W. Coming off of last year, a win is a win. So I'm gonna keep my negatives to a minimum. So now, Super Mad Spartan, go nuts. Go nuts.
We'll still do just initial thoughts. I think for me, I was a little bit disappointed with the performance. And I'm sure the players said the same thing, disappointed in what happened with them. It's just, I could expect there to be some first game jitters. I just wanted it to look better on offense. I think, Quaffy, you hit on into it that still relatively new program, new players. I think when they showed the breakdown last night of the game, most of this squad is, freshmen and sophomores. They don't have a lot of upperclassmen. And you saw the offense look a little bit disjointed because maybe they haven't had the time to gel. Other than that, there are a lot of other positives, but I think when your big thing is the offense and you have this new hope, you have this new quarterback, you just kind of wanted to see a little bit more. So I'll keep it there, just initial thoughts, and then Ken, your initial thoughts, and then we can really get into it.
Yeah, I'll say my initial thoughts are, it definitely was not a clean game overall. I would have liked to see us score just anything in the second half. We put up donuts in both the third and fourth quarters. On the offensive side, definitely need to see some more action there. Aiden Childs definitely showed his ability, throwing the football around. To your point, Quaffo, I would have liked them to see a little bit more mixing up with the offense, getting the tight ends involved more, not so much throwing the ball down the field. because there were some times where that was not necessary. I think that East would have had some short intermediate passes really to get Aiden Childs more into the flow of the game, starting with some easy throws here and there. Maybe that would help out the running game a little more. But overall, on the defensive side, yeah, I think MSU's defense is very good. Minus the penalties. Again, we'll get into that a little bit more. But overall, yeah, their defense is on point.
Yeah. Do we go to good now? Do we go?
Well,
this is where we're going to do our good Sparty, bad Sparty.
Let's do our good Sparty, bad Sparty segment.
Let's start with the bad.
Let's start with the bad. Let's start with the super mad Spartan doing his Christopher Mad Dog Russo impersonation right now. I'm sorry.
No, it's not going to be quite like that. All right, we're going to go with bad. We're going to have to start with the most disappointing thing, and it was kind of a known. The offensive line was not very good run blocking, and they were okay at pass protection. I think there's a few times that they had some long developing plays going down the field, and Aiden Childs needed just an extra half second to step into a throw. We got no push. Once again, we're 3rd and short, 4th and short. Can't get the first down. That's super annoying, especially versus a team like FAU. They're not ward beaters. And I understand it's the first game. The offense, I think it has to start up front with the offensive line. Then we go to Aiden Childs. He was a little bit erratic. He had some throws that you could see the zip, like, oh man, that was a fantastic pass. And you saw when he made his throws, offensive line blocked it up. They moved the ball. I think the play calling was decent. But again, the offensive line it's going to be a hindrance, and it has to improve. It has to. So that's my biggest negative thing was the offensive line play in general. So that's my big mad.
Fair.
Big mad, just roar.
I'm not hating the team. I'm going to say it's very disappointing to see the offensive line not being able to get a push, not seeming together. And to put it in perspective, I understand this is the first game. It's the first game of a lot of new people coming together, especially on offense, going against people who aren't on the same team as them. So that's my big
that's
man.
That's okay for game one. That's okay for being big man. The blood pressure medicine seems like you seem a little like
down from Friday during the game.
From the game, I was like, woo. The phone was in my hand. It was just like, whoa, out of my head.
Yeah.
The heat coming off of it. Was crazy. Like, damn, right?
I'm not a nice person during the game.
Not nice at all. Godzilla sometimes comes out.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Quafa. What are your bad Sparty topics, sir? Your bad Sparty intake from the sweets perspective.
So from my perch, no, I think
the caviar.
Yes, the caviar was limited. The caviar was limited with respect to the offensive line. I think Brian touched on it really well. Just wasn't up to par. I would say, there was, as we mentioned in the opening, little too much rolling of the dice. Take guaranteed points when you can get them. There's time and a place to go for 4th downs. Again, but that was addressed by coach. I think he's taking ownership. What I do like about this staff is from the jump, everyone's like, that's on me. Even the players, that's on me. It's not, hey, the dude down the street or that dude from last year. There is no finger pointing. It's like, we're going to correct it. We're going to fix it. And we're going to move forward. As I mentioned in our previous show, a professional staff, like they really know what they're doing. So, I mean, the offensive line play, not getting the run game. We talked about Nate Carter. I really would like to see him really pop off there. We'll get into some of that on the good side on his potential for replacement as we move forward. But like and then obviously Aiden just never really getting in a good rhythm. It's part of the bad Sparty again, but I think that will come as he's more comfortable with the playbook, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to implement. Once he understands what's happening with his players as well. I think too, the one thing we haven't talked about yet too, it's just getting separation, getting the receivers getting separation. We talked about in the previous show for Florida Atlantic, they have a really good secondary, but it never seemed like, and they were physical. It never seemed like we could really break free from some of those DBs, or if we did, it was overthrows or underthrows or what have you. And then I guess the last little piece too is the young Nick Marsh. He's got so much hype around him and stuff like that, but to only have the one catch and I think maybe 4 targets. I didn't look at the stat line this morning, but he had limited targets. He was not in all the packages. Yeah, I think he's coming along, but from where folks talked about him in the offseason to where he actually was last night, I think that was a little bit disappointing as well. It was like Christmas. We were going through the gifts. Like, I want to see it. I want to see it.
Right.
And then you get, one of them broke down robots, and you're like, oh man, that's not what I wanted for Christmas. So that's
10 completions.
Yeah. And so I mean, the target number is what I want to look at for someone like that who's going to be a weapon here before his time is done. So that's, I think, another badge party part there is Nick Marshall's not being in as many packages as maybe I would have liked to see.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll say, one, the penalties. I mean, it's been a very long time since I've seen the defense get over 100 penalties, I think, for the opening game.
Yeah.
Some of those penalties, I think, I didn't agree with them. I really was not liking the quarterback of FAU. Him doing all those ridiculous looking long slides, putting the defense in a bad position, trying to tackle him. I'm actually surprised he actually survived. I mean, his helmet came off about 12 times the whole game. But nevertheless, the penalties, they definitely got to clean that up. I agree with both of you guys talking about the offense. Definitely need to see some more creativity, I think, getting involved, more of the notable players talked about, the Nick Marshes. I know it seemed like at times Aiden was trying to force the ball to either Foster or I forget the number 3, who's over number 3 on the team. His name escapes me right now.
That's Foster. That's
okay,
Foster.
That's Foster. Okay.
That's Foster, yeah.
Okay. And then maybe number 4. I can't remember all the different.
Ron Glover.
Yeah, Glover. Yeah, Glover. It seemed like he was trying to get the ball to Foster and Glover quite a bit, where they could have mixed it up more. I don't know if that was more on the play calling or just Aiden when he was kind of scrambling, he was kind of forced the ball to those guys. But overall, I would say the penalties, the offense looking pretty much out of sync for the whole game. The offensive line.
You went Canadian real quick. Shout out to my people in Canada.
The offensive line. The big O.
Yeah.
Anyway, the offensive line, they looked off and on, more so off than on. And it seemed interesting how, and this will go to the good Sparty side, between Nate Carter and K. Lynch Adams, how those two looked like night and day when they were running the ball. It seemed like Lynch Adams really he did something with it when he had it compared to Nate Carter, where he kind of struggled. And I don't know if that was because of the offensive line. I don't know if they blocked differently for K-Ron versus Carter. But, that was very interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. We gonna go good now? Because there's a lot of good to take. There's a lot of good to take.
Yeah, there's some good. Yeah, we can flip it to the good side.
Good transition. K-Ron Lynch Adams. There you go.
K-Ron Lynch Adams. Yeah, he was definitely that kid, he runs with some like level of anger and authority.
Mm-hmm.
He runs like Brian said last night. That boy's trying to get him an NFL contract. That's how he runs.
Yeah, his top speed, someone said his top speed probably had to be 22, 23, 24 miles an hour on that touchdown run. And then on the one they called back, just angry, aggressive, like somebody took his lunch money, running out there like Debo. I was like, woo, okay. So Lynch Adams really was a really shining spot for us. Nice transfer pickup. that show that he can play at this level. So I was
Right.
really impressed with him. And just we'll go positive with Nate Carter real quick. He is a great young man, great human being. In the times I've talked to him, great human being. He just got married. So
Right. Yeah, he
we
did.
are all three of us on the call know about that situation. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, we do.
you
Yes,
feel a
we
little
do.
comfortable.
Shout out to the
Shout out to the
wives.
wives.
To the
Shout
wives
out to the
of the
wives.
woodshed.
Yeah, the wives of the woodshed. They make it their own
Wives of the
podcast.
woodshed,
The wives of
yes.
the woodshed. But yeah, I think having the two of them both there will be a positive moving forward. But to your guys' point, Lynch Adams, once he accelerated, even with the blocking not being up to snuff, it's like he hit the hole with more force, and those first 3 steps to get to the hole, see the hole, and take off, real positive as well. And I did like another good positive. I like the Aiden Childs on the quarterback keep, just showing that athleticism, deciding, you know what, I can
Right,
tuck in a
yeah.
run here, I can score on this play, I can make a play with my feet if things are not happening in the passing game. So that being said, and then last for me, the great thing, obviously, besides the beautiful night it was in Spartan Stadium and the crowd getting, you mentioned, Ken, in your opening comments, that defense was flying around, was nasty,
Yes.
takeaways, sacks.
Yes.
That is Spartan
Yes.
football. That is Spartan
Yeah,
dog
that is.
football. That is
Yeah.
nasty, aggressive, in your face. Joe Rossi already worth it. Whatever they paid him, totally worth it because the players looked to be in phase, in the right scheme. There was no confusion. There was one confusion on the touchdown. I could
Right.
see my guy Chuck
Right.
Brantley. He was signaling like, "Hey, somebody needs to get over here." And there was a miscommunication to have that wide open play there. But apart from that, they really were aggressive. The penalties, as you said, were really caused by Fancher. Kind of, we were talking about that in the box. Like he was just doing things that were almost like a soccer player embellishing. Right? If you're gonna slide, just slide. He was doing stuff
Right.
Yes.
and drawing those penalties because as you're going 1,000 miles a minute, your defense is flying around. You can't just stop on a dime, because you're going. It's physics, man. We all had to take physics. It's
Right.
physics.
Yeah.
You can't just stop. An object in motion just can't stop like that. So he was drawing those penalties. Glad they're off the schedule. We don't even see them anymore. They can go back to Florida. But a lot of positives there with the way that defense looks. They're well ahead of the offense. And if they play like that, they're going to be in all the remaining 11 games. If that defense plays like that.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
pivot off of you on
Yeah.
defense. I think that's the brightest spot of the game. Because I feel like last year we might lose this game. If the offense is going to play like that, last year I think we'd lose because
Yeah.
they were giving
We would
those
have lost.
15-yard
We
cushions.
would have lost.
The way the defense, the bend but don't break by the fourth quarter, they would have broken. This defense, they were attacking. You saw a lot of the transfers get through. We had a safety. That's the first time we had a safety. I feel like
Yeah.
decade. Was it
That was to kick
Taquan
off the
Dowd who
game.
got
That was our
through?
initial score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It
It was.
I'm saying the defensive line, I was really impressed by them. They were stout up the middle for the most part. There's a couple runs here and there, but I didn't see anything from the defense this year that gave me pause. I know in the previous seasons, even when we played, I think it was Akron and Richmond, you looked at it and say, yeah, we stopped them, but they were moving the ball pretty easily on us there. This time you're seeing our defense is stopping people. They're attacking. They're getting there. They looked for the most part like a well-coached defense that
Yeah,
the
they
Mhm.
did.
players knew what they were supposed to do.
Right.
And we don't know how
Mhm.
good they are, or maybe not good they are. Maybe they seem to be at least solid right now. And that's what you want to see in the first game. You don't want to
Yep.
see a lot of communication errors. Like Quafo mentioned, there was one on the touchdown they got. And honestly, the offense put the defense in bad position. They just kept putting them down. Like
Mhm.
FAU only had 10 points. Like I know they
Mhm.
probably could have had more, but they only gave up 10. So
Right.
that to me is a win. Is to see where the defense was at to where they are at least now.
In years, like you said, hit on it. In years past, they lose that game because the defense would have given up on the offense turning the ball over, or the offense not scoring, and there would have been like, all right, well, we're just, it's not our day. Where you saw some resilience with this defense, like today is going to be our day. We need to help the offense, and they just came to play from Jump Street to the end of the game. They were ready to go. So positive sign going forward.
Yeah, I think the defense will have to carry the team probably the first well, they definitely carried him last night, but probably the next couple games, maybe the next 2 or 3 games, I see the defense will have to
Hopefully.
carry the team more so. Well, by that time, at least the offense should be functional. And
We
one thing I
hope.
will say, I'll take as a positive too, to your point, Quaffo, because I read about this earlier this morning, is that how accountable that the players and the coaches are, especially Aiden Childs. When I was reading about his post game comments, he was very critical of himself, saying that, hey, I know my performance was not up to par, for my standards. That's on me, and I'm going to do what it takes to get it corrected. So I do like that. He didn't pass the buck to anybody else. He was like, yeah, I left some plays on the field. I just wasn't up to par. So I think that's a positive too. So as the season moves forward, those are learnable lessons. Like we said, that he's a young kid. This is his first start pretty much ever in college football. There's a reason why Jonathan Smith brought him versus, the previous quarterback that he had, because he definitely sees some potential in Childs and he can grow with him. This is someone, a quarterback, with the next, maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years, that, can really grow into that position. So by the time MSU gets into that position of, hey, we want to make the playoff, everything will be ready to go. So I see the long vision, the long-term game that Coach Smith has in terms of Aiden Childs and the offense. But yeah, I mean, last night, yeah, it definitely was a nail biter for sure. Like I said, seeing my brother there, a volcano is about to erupt erupt over there. But hey,
Mm-hmm.
it's
We
definitely some
won.
growing pains. Definitely some growing pains.
A win is a win. A win is a
We'll
win.
take the W. I want.
We
Go ahead, Quaff. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say they were in short supply last year, so we take all those. Take them
Right,
all. Take them
right.
all.
All of them for sure.
Yep.
I think one thing you both mentioned that I just want to kind of hit on accountability. I watched a lot of post game interviews. Everybody, like you said, Quaff earlier, this is on us. We're going to get this fixed. This is what happened. We saw this. This is what we're going to do. And then is that going to translate into victories? I don't know, but I like to at least see it. I think from the previous coaching staff, it was we'll have to watch the film. Well, yeah, we're there. It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what are you going to do? It's going to be different because I think that's always the biggest problem was that you would see these things on film and it never gets fixed. So I'm really
Mm-hmm.
interested to see, okay, you've all saying you're accountable, you got things on tape, offense, you look a little bit disjointed, you all admit it, you know what the issues are. Okay, next game, what are you going to look like? How are you going to do? And so that's what I'm really interested to see. That's why I'm not going to blow my top just yet. And I understand it's still the first year and we have some other opponents. But as long as, for me, and I said this last night, as long as I'm seeing improvement, that the mistakes you made in week one, you don't make in week two. And then as we can make week, you just keep going, building on that. Because I think you can see flashes of this team, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
see Aiden Childs. He made some passes like, whoa, he gunned that ball in there. Oh, he really got it out there. Okay, I see the athleticism, but we have to continue to build on it.
Yeah, he has to be and from a skill set package, right? Taking everything else aside from Aiden Childs, just when we think about the combination of arm strength, speed, agility, quickness, we haven't had a quarterback with all of those things. We have some people with a good pocket presence, some people with a good arm, some people mobile. But you talk about the totality of what this kid can be once he kind of gets more comfortable. I mean, we talking Tony Banks, Mel Coleman,
Yeah.
Sherm Lewis back in the day. Like we're talking,
Woo!
we're talking like
Way back in the vault.
like this guy has the if we just give him time as a fan base, let him develop, he could be something really truly special because of all the skill sets that he possesses. He's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, he does. And I think the last quarterback we had there, maybe was Tony Banks. And that
Mm.
was
Maybe
I
about
mean,
30
Drew
years
Stanton
ago,
love,
maybe.
little
Drew Stanton, yeah, Brian Lewerke, yes,
Yeah.
well, Drew. I mean, those guys, but just like the package of all of it, like at a high level. There's a reason, gosh, right? There's a reason
Yeah,
USC, all these big dogs wanted this kid because they can see what this guy's got. So yeah,
I didn't even know
yeah,
that
exactly.
USC. I didn't know USC was trying to get Childs. That's news to
Child is
me.
highly
So
sought after.
a long story. Yeah, highly sought after. Highly sought after is the yeah.
And one
So
quick thing I'll say too, this is the bad Sparty, was that those referees, especially the one that
Yeah,
blew
the
that
tough
play.
night.
Yeah, the one who blew that play for a K-Ron.
yeah, there was. There was no reason to stop that play. I mean, he wasn't really impeding his progress. He was running again, possessed, like somebody took his lunch money. He was coming back to go settle a score, and then he easily made it in the end zone. I have no idea what was going on with that the officiating, and then all the
Right.
targeting stuff. But we'll go good Sparty real quick. Maybe wrap up the segment with they made the right call at the end of the game with respect to the targeting and then changing it. Or you think about how that a game is different if they don't fix that call, right?
We're sweating a little bit more. They was close.
Yeah. But it was the right call ultimately because again, like we talked about, that guy was he was drawing in penalties like a soccer player.
Yes.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Yeah.
And why it takes so long, you probably didn't recognize this or notice this, Quaffle, since you were at the game, but watching it on TV, that same ref, it took them like 2.5 quarters to fix his damn mic. Every time they showed him, he was just like, what are we doing here? I mean, you have Big Ten Network there, all these different crews. They couldn't fix that man's mic until like halfway through the third quarter. Like, come on now.
That's a struggle bus.
Definitely.
Mm.
But anyway, like you said, the biggest good Sparty is that we won. Imagine we would have lost. It would have been terrible. I mean, we could have been like Minnesota, shanking that game-winning field goal against North Carolina on Thursday and talking about a loss, but
and then playing the fireworks. I saw the video that missed a field goal. North Carolina rushes the field, and the fireworks are going off in Minnesota. Minnesota down bad.
Wow. I missed that one.
Minnesota's down bad. PJ Fleck, roll yourself all the way out of the Twin Cities, buddy. Like, golly. Yeah, it's terrible. You got fireworks going off like you just did something. You just lost, guys. Man, terrible. Terrible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, we're going to introduce a new segment to Cue the Woodshed, courtesy of Quaffle, the super connected Spartan, called Word on the Street. So since you're so connected, Quaffle, what's the word on the street on Spartan Stadium, the streets of Michigan State football?
Yeah,
what you got
all near and dear to us. Yeah, so the word on the street is for coming off of a beautiful evening. Spartan Stadium was electric. It was live as usual. Goes without saying, Adams has that juice. That's what I'm hearing, and we saw it, right? Has a juice. Probably should be a bigger part of the game plan going forward. Again, he's not necessarily taking Nate's role right now, but he showed enough to be a part of this game going forward, and you probably have a two-headed backfield for a while there a little bit as well. The vibes are still high. As you saw, everybody's even keeled. Nobody's too high. Nobody's too low. Building things up, right? This whole process this year is building up. Now, that doesn't mean there's not going to be some growing pains along the way. It doesn't mean we're just going to settle as a program for things. But this is about building back better, building things up. The other thing that I love is old traditions coming back. From the players' walk. Got to interact with a lot of my guys on their walk into the stadium. That was electric. Fans were loving that as well. So the old traditions coming back, even all the way down to Thunderstruck, which I'm so about when I hear that. But hey, then they mix it up a little bit differently, but it's still Thunderstruck coming out there. So old traditions are back up. And I will tell you something. I think I don't know if I mentioned the previous show, but I think I did. The DB, and you saw it. The DB room, the defensive backfield is loaded. And so as the year goes on, he told me them dudes told me like what was gonna happen. I was like, okay, young bucks, what you got? As the year goes on, that is going to be an immense strength of this team. Probably with that defensive line we talked about, but that defensive secondary, it's not the no-fly zone. Don't get it twisted. That's a generational type defense, but these guys are going to be really good in the defensive backfield. So that's my word on the street for this week.
All right, that sounds like a winner to me. What's your thoughts, Mr. Super Mad Spartan?
Yeah, I'm agree with Quaffo. Like the defensive backfield, we don't really talk about it a whole lot, but they looked good. And in terms of things I'm hearing, on the message boards, a lot of fans' opinions are varied. You have your doomsdayers, and then you have your sunshine blowers, and it's always somewhere in the middle. And me, I might be closer to a doomsdayer than a sunshine blower, but I thought they were.
Doomsdayer and sunshine blowers. All right.
I still have a lot of hope with this team. I think we saw the pieces, we saw the bones. It's kind of transitioning over. We got Maryland next week. So what are they looking like? What are we going to look like versus them? Maryland's playing right now. They're up 23.
They're playing right now as we tape. Yep, as we tape, they're playing right now.
So we don't. I'm actually recording a game, so I'm gonna watch it later on. But we can do the Maryland preview and see where we're at.
Maryland.
Yeah. I know.
Right now they're.
No, I was gonna say I think they've beaten us the past at least couple years. Yeah, I think the last time we beat them was in 2021. So I know in 22 and 23.
That's the last time we beat anybody, Ken, was 2021. We've been competing for the bottom of the barrel of the Big Ten the last 2 years. And we have to start beating teams like Maryland to climb up from the bottom of the barrel. And I think it's hard to say this right now. Maryland's like right now it's the most important game for the Spartans to show what you're going to look like. Maryland is replacing their quarterback. They have a lot of things not going great for them, but they're beating the Power 5 team right now, 23-0. We couldn't even. Our offense, if it was for defense setting the table for them, we wouldn't have scored touchdowns. So we got some work there.
I mean, if we're gonna get into that Maryland preview, I mean, to me, Maryland is a hungry squad, but you losing, as they call him in Maryland, Leah, Tua's little brother, Talia Tagovailoa is gone, right? That hurts immensely, right? That guy was all-time leader in Big Ten passing. And for Mike Locksley, to me, even though he's got the good recruiting class, they have never gotten over the upper echelon hump in Maryland. So this is like a big year for them to see if it was just about Aaliyah, if it was just about the group they have in there. They have the great running back and Emby. But like you mentioned, their quarterback play between Edwards and Morris, I know the game is going on right now. They're really not settled. I mean, Edwards starts, but then they sprinkle in Morris. So you know the rule. You got 2 quarterbacks, you got 0 quarterbacks. Zero. Right. So on the DBs, they have really a strong suit of that team. So similar to what we just faced with FAU. There's a kid back there, Glendon Miller. We're going to watch for him next Saturday. He's a safety, but he's one to watch. He plays a lot of the slot corner, though. So, and by Pro Football Focus ratings, he's one of the best slot corners in the country. So we want to watch him back there. We probably want to stay away from his area. I wouldn't really want to challenge him. He's just a pretty gifted defensive backfield there. Wide receivers are talented, but I talked about our DBs. Our DBs, I think, can go toe-to-toe with their receivers. It'll be about getting pressure, and it'll be about containing Roman Emby, who is a load. He's one of the better backs in the country as well to try to tackle. What are your thoughts, Ken?
Yeah, one quick question going back to our game.
Yeah.
Was Aiden Childs, was he sacked at all last night? I can't remember.
I could pull it up, but I think he was, but I'll pull it up.
Maybe once or twice.
I think it was one.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember if he was sacked or not. I know we got to FAU's quarterback quite a bit because he probably had to come out the game on a stretcher when the game was over.
He looked a little hurt.
Right.
Yeah, he did.
Exactly.
He did. But yeah, while you look that up, Quaffo, yeah, my initial thoughts of Maryland. I did see some of the a game they're playing against UConn. I mean, I figured they're gonna whoop up on UConn because UConn football is atrocious. I mean, they're just as bad as maybe EMU or Western going up against Wisconsin. So I figured that Maryland would whoop up on UConn and get feel good about themselves and whatnot. I do think our defense will probably, like I said, earlier, they'll have to carry us a little bit more than the offense, especially since we're playing at Maryland. I do feel good in the sense that our defense, I think, can, keep Maryland, in check. There may be some times where Maryland may break away to get some scores, but I think our defense can keep Maryland in check. Now, will it be enough for our offense to do something? I mean, that still remains to be seen. We'll see, to your point, Brian, if we'll see that improvement from week to week. So we'll see if there'll be some, much improvement between week 1 and week 2. I'm hopeful, that we'll win because in the past, we've had away with Maryland, but, these past couple of years, we haven't. So we'll see. I'm hopeful that we'll get a W, but we'll see.
Yeah, just looping back, it was one sack in the game. A lot of pressures. I mean, he took a couple shots. I do recall a couple of cheap shots, what I would call them, like after the ball was already released, he's getting blasted, but he won official sack by the score sheet.
Okay, cool. Oh, sounds good. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a good early test for Michigan State. First Big Ten game of the season at Maryland away from home. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, that's all I can say right now.
Well, I mean, we have some Spartans over on the East Coast. All you East Coast Spartans that are watching in the DMV, get to College Park. They don't got no home field advantage. Get to College Park, root on the Spartans, make it a tough environment for them from Terrapins. That's our plea to you.
Right. And to all you East Coast Spartans, make sure you check out our show as well. We got something for everyone.
That's a fact.
Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify. We're opening up our airwaves for everyone to enjoy the podcast. So East Coast Spartans, especially for you guys, in the DMV area, yes, definitely need support.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else for the cause, gentlemen? As we wrap
I'm just
up our
excited.
second episode.
I'm still excited. I think the stock is up. But this is a stock. We're buying low right now. You're buying low. The stock is a growth stock with Spartan football right now. So we're buying low, planting some seeds, and we're gonna watch it increase as the week. Now, this will be a telltale week. 1 week from today in College Park. I'm not taking too much about what Maryland does or doesn't do today. It's gonna be a totally different game plan, scheme, all that type of stuff. So I'm looking forward to what our Spartan Dogs do next week.
Yes, those Fighting Smiths. Any final words, Mr. Super Mad Spartan?
I just want to see improvement. I want to see what it's going to look like from week 1 to week 2. I want to see growth. I want to see the O-line block better. I want to see the quarterback make better decisions. I want to see the defense continue to look like they looked. That's it.
Sounds like a plan to all of us, sir. So let me get to my MSU fun fact. This is another interesting one. I'll let you guys ponder on this, see if you can get it right. How many times has MSU football been ranked number 1?
At the end of the season? During the season? What's the parameters here?
Doesn't matter if it's starting the season off, during the season, or in the season? How many times has MSU football has been ranked number one in its illustrious football history?
Like 4 times. Or how many championships do we have? 5. So those are the 5 times.
I'm gonna go.
MSU has
I'm gonna
6.
go. I'm gonna go with 12 times they've been number one in one of the major polls.
What say you, Mr. Super Mad Spartan?
I'll go with 6.
Okay. Again, just like last week's football fact, this one was another surprising one. So, according to good old Google, MSU has been ranked number one, that is, 28 times in the coaches poll, 29 times in the AP poll. So again, 28 for the coaches poll, 29 for the AP poll. Now I don't know like what specific time frame this was, but yes, I was surprised when I saw this. Not to say that in MSU's football history that they couldn't be ranked number one, but yes, this was another surprising, fun football fact. So this is why I like doing these, to educate our audience.
Yeah, so that one's interesting. I mean, it makes sense when you think about the totality of 100 plus years of football and success.
Mm-hmm.
28 sounds about right, and that is it must be the measure is at any point did you reach number one. So preseason, during the season, at the end of the season. So that makes that's probably, if we think about the totality of the history of this place, that's probably right. 28. It's a good number.
It is.
Yeah. This
is.
is not this is a top 20 historical program in the country. Like,
yes.
Yeah. What are we doing here?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And these facts, you won't hear them on ESPN. You won't hear them on Fox Sports.
No.
Locally, you won't even hear this. It's all about, same old Sparty and go blue, who have their own issues that we won't talk about at this point in time. But yes, MSU does have some good, rich college football history.
That is fact. That is a fact. Yep.
Yes, sir. So, once again, we're going to wrap the show up. Episode 2, Cue the Woodshed. I'm Ken, the super cool Spartan. Got my brother Brian, the super mad Spartan. Got Quaffo, the super connected Spartan. We'll be getting at you again next week. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. And then check us out on Spotify, Instagram pages, TikTok, all under Cue the Woodshed. Go green.
Go white.
Go white. All right, we out.
Peace.